Hello everybody, Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you an older idea of a deck that has now made its way back into Standard, and that is a deck centered around Mew EX and Shedinja. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. It helps us out a lot and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, I think I'm going to have to go with what is your favorite ability. Now, those of you who are familiar with my channel and have watched some of the previous videos might be thinking, wait, Sticks, you've already asked that question before, and yes, I have. You are 100% correct, but that was with regards to the TCG. My question today is with regards to the video games, so abilities like Pressure, Overgrow, Blaze, Torrent, stuff like that. All the abilities that Pokemon in the video game have, and really, my interest in this question stems from the Shedinja that I'm using in this deck, because Shedinja has that Wonder Guard ability, and I'm sure you guys remember in like 4th and 5th gen being able to hack Wonder Guard Sableye, Wonder Guard Spiritomb, and just keep those guys from being able to be damaged at all. And that got me thinking, well, Wonder Guard's a very, very cool ability and a very good ability, don't get me wrong. But what is my favorite overall? Now, I would have to say that my favorite overall, while there are so many cool abilities, would have to be Aerolate. And now I do give special consideration to like Pixelate, Refrigerate, and I think those are the only ones right now. I could be wrong. I haven't played the video game. Well, I haven't played the video game competitively too much recently. I mean, yeah, I have played Sun and Moon, but I mean, I really haven't gotten too much competitively, so I kind of have lost a little bit of my knowledge about that overall. But I would have to say that Aerolate is my favorite ability overall, mostly because of my fondness for Mega Pinsir, and that was the first Mega that I used and was really the first team that I was able to actually do well with. So I have a special spot in my heart for Mega Pinsir and Aerolate, so that is my favorite ability. I would love to hear what your guys' favorite ability is. Please leave a comment in the comment section below and why. Now, onto the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Shedinja with the Hopeless Scream attack. I mean, this guy has 30 HP. I mean, you really can't go much lower in the TCG, because, I mean, that's how it goes. 30 is as low of HP as it gets. But it has the Hopeless Scream attack. This attack does 50 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. That's actually a really, really good attack, but unfortunately, it's on Shedinja, and if Shedinja has any more than 2 damage counters on it, it's knocked out. So how are we going to use this effectively, and how are we going to use it to actually win matches? Well, couple that sucker with Mew EX with the versatile ability. This Pokemon can use the attacks of any Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, although you still need the necessary energy to attack. And the thing is, Hopeless Scream is just a single colorless energy, so that is very, very, very easy to pull off. And the most difficult part of this deck is getting enough damage on Mew EX to be able to hit for sufficient damage to take knockouts. Now, before this deck was used with, I think it was like Frozen City, I think was the stadium, and that was like put 1 or 2 damage counters, I don't remember, on each Pokemon that every time you put an energy onto it that's not a Team Plasma Pokemon. So you'd be able to play down a Mew, play down a Rainbow Energy onto it, and immediately have 3 damage counters on that guy, hitting for 150, attach a Muscle Band, hit for 170, and boom, you are just absolutely blowing through your opponent's deck. Now, I had to take a little bit roundabout of a strategy this time around, because obviously Frozen City is not a card that we can use anymore because it's way back in black and white, and also things like Earthquake from Dugtrio and stuff like that just really aren't conducive to a consistent deck. So I kind of had to get a little bit creative and decided to pair that with Team Magma's Secret Base. Whenever any player plays a basic Pokemon from his or her hand onto his or her bench, put 2 damage counters onto that Pokemon. So that is really the main way we're trying to get damage on Mew. Yeah, I know whatever Pokemon you start with is not going to be able to take advantage of Magma's Secret Base, and if you don't have that in play, well, then you don't really get the damage counters. So, I mean, this deck is not very competitive by any means, but it is still a very fun deck that if you can get it set up properly, you can do some major damage with it. So that's one of the reasons that I really like it and why I think it's so fun. As for the Pokemon, we were running 3 Shaman for draw support. You want to get this deck set up as quickly as possible to try to get some damage going. Running 1 Mr. Mime. Honestly, there isn't much bench damage or bench attacking in this current format. I mean, apart from Evil Tall with Fright Knight, and that only targets EXs. But either way, I'm kind of paranoid of running into a Mega Audino deck and that just completely ruining my day and running Train on me. So I threw one Mr. Mime in there just because. I mean, there's really no reason to run it, and if you want to cut it, then you probably wouldn't be losing much at all, but that's just me being paranoid, and I wanted to throw that option out there for you, just let you guys know that it is there with the bench barrier to protect your very, very, very weak Shedinjas. We were running 4-4 of Nincada and Shedinja, really because Shedinja we sometimes have to use as an attacker for like safeguard Pokemon and stuff like that, and Pokemon that really just shut down certain things that Mew EX is. So having Shedinja as an attacker, sometimes we need to do it, which is why we also run 4 of these guys, so that we can not only keep one on the bench for versatile, but also have one as an attacker if you need it. And then for Mew, because this guy is the main attacker and you always want to be attacking with it. And you might be asking, wait, Styx, doesn't this deck also just auto-lose to Garbodor? Well, long story short, yes. This deck admittedly loses to a lot of different stuff, but I mean, it's still a fun deck, so I decided to try to use it, and when it works, it does very well. But Garbodor is the reason why we are running not only Shedinja as an attacker, but also a heavier number of Lysander than before, but I'll get to that in a second. As for the items, running 2-2 of Crushing Hammer and Enhanced Hammer. I know I always talk about how I hate running these guys in a deck just randomly, but this deck really does need it in order to be able to keep up with the faster and stronger decks. So that's why I'm running 2-2 of both of these guys. Running 2 Level Ball to search out Nincada and Shedinja. 1 Super Rod because, I mean, Shedinja's going to get knocked out, Mew's going to get knocked out, your Grass Energy is going to get discarded, and you're not running too heavy a line of energy. So being able to put those guys back in the deck is great. 2 Switch, just switching. I mean, switching is great. You really don't run, well, obviously don't run any float stones in this deck, and you don't want to be having to attach and discard your energy because you don't have any acceleration otherwise due to the low attack cost, and you don't need the acceleration because of the low attack cost. So switch is to get something that you don't want out of the active spot. Running 4 Trainer's Mail to help with consistency, 4 Ultra Ball to guaranteed get whatever out that we want, 4 VS Seeker to reuse our supporters, and as for the supporter line, running 2 Lysander, a heavier line of Lysander than I usually run, just because Garbodor shuts this deck down hard. One nice thing though is that a Shedinja with 2 damage on it from like the Team Magma's secret base and a Grass Energy is able to Lysander in and one-shot the Garbodor. So, I mean, that's one kind of sort of thing that this deck has going for it. I mean, it's not that consistent. I will say that 100% of the time. This deck is not horribly consistent, but it is very, very fun to use, and so I'm trying to just tech it out to where it can be somewhat competitive and it won't just auto-lose a lot of matchups. As for the draw support, running a 2-4 of N and Sycamore. I mean, that's just kind of my standard line. And then I'm running 1 Wally. That way you can immediately play down Nincada, get it up to a Shedinja, and potentially attack with Mew turn 1 if you get the right combination of cards. Well, not turn 1, but I mean, if you go second, then turn 1 for you, if you get the right combination of cards. So, I mean, Wally's just there as kind of a, well, I mean, why not throw it in there, see if we can get it to work. And it's actually worked a couple of times, so that's pretty nice. Running 4 of the Team Magma's secret base because this is how we generally rely on getting damage on our Mew, because Mew is pretty weak otherwise, so it gets knocked out frequently, so Team Magma's secret base is there for that. Running 2 Fighting Fury Belt to give Mew EX a little more longevity and also potentially hit a little bit harder. I mean, it does allow Mew to hit for a magic number of 110 with a Fighting Fury Belt, and if you play it down into Magma's secret base, which knocks out a Shaman. So, I mean, that's pretty nice. And then running, well, and also the 110 will one-shot a Mega Mewtwo Y, so just throwing that out there. And then running 4-4 of Rainbow Energy and Grass Energy Rainbow to help get more damage counters on Mew to be able to hit harder with Hopeless Scream. And then 4 Grass just because, I mean, you can't run 8 Rainbow Energy, which I probably would have otherwise, but then again, having regular energy is never a bad thing with all the special energy hate that's going around right now. So yeah, I mean, this deck, I tried to make it as streamlined and as simple as possible to make it work, and yeah, let's just go ahead and see if we can get some matches with this deck. Alrighty, we have found one against Happy Rusted, or with a, I don't even know how to say it, Rusred. Happy Rusred with a fire and normal deck, so I'm interested to see what this is. We do lose the coin flip, so that's a bit unfortunate, but either way, it's fine-ish, depending on what my opponent is running. We do start off with actually a very nice hand. Start with a Mew, Shedinja, and another Mew, and then an Ultra Ball. So, I mean, we have all that we really need for this first turn. I mean, as long as I can get a draw supporter or something like that. So we're going to see what my opponent is running and then go from there. And, okay, it's a Talonflame Typhlosion deck. So this could be a little bit of a problem, potentially. Yeah, this could actually be a lot bit of a problem. But, oh, this is actually beautiful, because what I can do is go ahead and play the Grass Energy onto the Mew, Ultra Ball, get rid of the Lysander and the Shedinja to grab another Nincada, because I feel like I'm going to be needing those. Let's play that down, go for the Mew, hopefully get like a Team Magma Secret Base or something like that. There we go. That way I can play the Mew down and start getting some damage on it. That way I can one-shot Typhlosions when they come down. Let's go ahead and get another Mew. And then, you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and I think Lysander in the Cyndaquil. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Go ahead and Lysander in the Cyndaquil. And then, I don't know, probably do... Yeah, let's do an Aeroblitz to go ahead and get 2 cards, whatever we need. I think I'm honestly just going to grab 2 Shedinja. I could grab another, like, Lysander or something like that, but I don't know. I mean, with the hand I have right now, I mean, I have Rainbow Energy, I have a Sycamore, so I'm going to be discarding a lot of stuff anyway. I might as well just get 2 Shedinja into play for when I need them. My opponent will probably be able to... Actually, he might not be able to get a Typhlosion immediately. If he does not... Well, that's... Okay, that works perfectly for me, because Cyndaquil will come down, get damaged, he'll manually retreat into the Talonflame, evolve into the Quilava, and this is where I kind of wish I had grabbed the Lysander or the VS Seeker as opposed to 2 of the Shedinja, just because, I mean, then I would be able to Lysander in the Quilava, knock that thing out before it is potentially a Typhlosion. But, I mean, either way, we're fine right now, I think, maybe, possibly, because I will be able to knock out this Talonflame 100% with a... Hopeless Scream, I think, is the attack. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention to what I do. You guys know I don't pay any attention to it. But either way, my opponent will be able to get 2 cards with Aeroblitz. That is just fine with me. I mean, we will be able to take a prize right here. And while this Mew might go down to a Typhlosion next turn, I will have a Mew in the background ready to go, powered up to one-shot the Typhlosion. And honestly, like... Even though all he has to do is just one-shot 3 Mews in order to be able to win, I think... So let's go ahead and play down the Shedinja right there. Play down another one. So Mew has 100 left. Yeah, I'm just going to play it onto that Mew. Play down the Rainbow Energy, because then my opponent will need 3 energy as opposed to 2. And... Okay, this is not bad. But yeah, what I can do is just go ahead and Hopeless Scream... maybe. Actually, no. I'm going to switch into the Mew on the bench because the Mew that I have can hit for 120, so in case my opponent plays like a training center or something like that, even though that might have gotten rotated out, I don't know. Either way, the Mew I have on the bench will be able to hit for more damage than the Mew I have active, and the Mew I have active requires that my opponent discard 3 Fire Energy instead of 2 with Massive Eruption to knock it out. I mean, I know it's not that big of a deal, but it could be if my opponent just discards poorly, so that's kind of what I'm hoping at this point. Oh man, he'll be able to get 4 Fire Energy back into the deck, so yeah, he's going to be able to one-shot this Mew, and he does judge me down. I don't like when people judge me. I think we should just not judge each other. Actually, I mean, I thought that we were in a society nowadays where judging is not a thing that happens, and yeah, he's able to knock out my Mew, but I do have a Mew on the bench to replace it. I can immediately just go ahead and play another Mew down, and then... Actually... Yeah, no, I'm going to keep the Mew. Or I'm going to keep the Ultra Ball for when I need it, and then just go ahead and save the Crushing Hammer, again, in case I need it for later. And, well, don't get anything particularly useful, but what I can do, go ahead and Trainer's Mail, see if I can get anything off of that. Get a Crushing Hammer. You know what? I'm going to get the Super Rod in case my opponent manages to knock out the Mew this turn with Yeah, I'm going to save the Super Rod in case my opponent manages to knock out the Mew this turn with another Massive Eruption. But either way, Hopeless Scream will knock out this Typhlosion, and all my opponent has left is one Cyndaquil. I'm really hoping that even if he does get a Typhlosion, I should be able to knock it out if I can get a Rainbow Energy, so that's what I'm going to have to go for. I will take a prize, and... Alright, so we're in an interesting position. My opponent will just Skyla right here. If he grabs a Rare Candy or he grabs an Ultra Ball, so he must have the Rare Candy in his hand, or he's just trying to Ultra Ball to keep from being benched out. I'm kind of thinking, what does he discard? So it depends on what he discards. So he has to have a Rare Candy and a Fire Energy in his hand right now. And, okay, yeah, he just grabs a Typhlosion, so he 100% has the Rare Candy in his hand and a Fire Energy. But on the bright side, he will not have another bench Pokemon down, so if I can get a Rainbow Energy, I actually just win at this point. So he will Massive Eruption, gets 3 Fire Energy, able to... Well, actually, that looked like 4 based on the damage. Able to knock out the Mew, but if I can get a Rainbow Energy, I will actually 100% win this match right here. And I get a Grass Energy. I don't need the Grass Energy. I need a Rainbow Energy. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is VS Seeker, go for the Sycamore, and just try to draw into that last Rainbow Energy. And then, yeah, Sycamore. I mean, I could have played the Super Rod, but I'm just going for game, and booyah, there it is. Go ahead and grab the Fighting Fury Belt, play the Rainbow Energy onto the Mew, and then go for a Hopeless Scream. Could go for a Massive Eruption, and no, that was 3. I always underestimate what Massive Eruption does. Sometimes I think it does 50, sometimes I think it does 60, but it's actually 80. I'm dumb, guys. We all know this. I don't know anything about the Pokemon TCG at all, so you just are going to have to roll with me on this one. I mean, we were still able to pull that one out. I mean, it was against a relatively non-competitive deck in Typhlosion. I mean, if you can get it set up, then Typhlosion hits for a ton, but it's not considered an overly competitive deck. So, I mean, that was a good match showing off what this deck can do, but let's just go ahead and see if we can try to find another one against potentially a bit more competitive of a deck to actually show how this deck fares against the current metagame. Alrighty, we have found another one against Victor Sandy with, I have no idea what type of deck that is. I mean, it's Grass, Dark, Fairy, Psychic, so who knows what the heck it is. Could be a Vespiquen variant because of the obvious Grass and then the Fairy being Klefki and then Psychic being unknown, but we'll see. Start off with actually a pretty decent hand. I mean, gonna go ahead and play the Nincada down, hopefully get a switch so that I can knock something out turn 1. Not gonna play the Shaman. I actually can play my hand down pretty well. Unfortunately, we do not go first, so I mean, once again, going second, which sucks. I really would have liked to have gone first, especially seeing that this is 100% a Vespiquen deck, because I would be able to take a knockout on this Combee immediately. And, oh, okay, so it's a Vespiquen Zoroark deck, which actually I think is really cool. That's a deck that I've been wanting to try out for a little while, and I've actually been tinkering with some deck lists, although we'll see how well it truly works out. And okay, my opponent just has to... Wow, he got nothing. So, I mean, maybe if I can get like a Switch Wally combination, I'll be able to knock out this Combee, which would be huge for me. I'm not going to grab anything from the Trainer's Mail because I want to get as much from the Shaman as possible. So let's go ahead. Ultra Ball for the Mew. Play that sucker down, get 20 damage on it from Magma's Secret Base, play the Grass Energy, play the Shaman down, get 6 cards, hopefully get a Switch Wally, because that would be amazing, and we don't get anything. So that's unfortunate. I do get another Mew, so I mean, that's something at the very least, and then, yeah, getting... What do I want to grab? I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go for a Sycamore. It will be getting rid of yet another VS Seeker, so I'll have 2 VS Seekers in the discard pile, which sucks. And hey, there's the Wally. Unfortunately, I don't even get a switch, so I can't use any attacks at all, so that really does suck. I don't want to play the Mew down because I want to get another Nincada up, because that's... Yeah, so I think I'm just going to have to try to Shaman for 2, see what I can get, hopefully get a switch or something. And I get nothing. Okay. So... pretty crappy first turn. I mean, if this was like turn 2, then that would be... If that was like my first turn and my opponent hadn't made a move yet, then I would be fine, because then I could just go for a switch or something later. But unfortunately, we go second again, which, I mean, that I'll be honest, that really does suck, because now my Nincada will get knocked out. I don't have a replacement Nincada, because I mean, I can draw every single Mew I could possibly want, but I can't get the guy that this deck revolves around. And yeah, it looks like my opponent was kind of just sitting on his hand, I guess, because apparently he had, I mean, he obviously had the Vespiquen, he had the Ultra Ball, he must have top decked that Zorua, I think, otherwise he would have played it down. And then, yeah, VS Seeker for a Sycamore, so, I mean, unless my opponent top decked the Sycamore, which at that point I don't know why you wouldn't have went ahead and played the Zorua down first turn anyway, then that's unfortunate. Okay, so yeah, this is exactly what I thought it was. A Vespiquen Unknown Klefki deck with Zoroark being the Dark type, which is a very, very cool deck. Luckily, we are not a Mega deck, so it's not that big of a deal. My opponent will be able to get quite a few Pokemon in the discard pile. Yeah, I mean, already he'll be able to knock out my Nincada, which, I mean, I need a Nincada in order to be able to even do anything at all. So if I get like an Ultra Ball, a Level Ball, or a Nincada, then I can do something next turn. Otherwise, I will pretty much be up a creek without a paddle. And yeah, we see the DCE there. So we will be able to take the first knockout on my Nincada, which really sucks. And yeah, just 60 damage able to knock that out. And that's beyond frustrating that I was not able to get like my switch or anything like that. And okay, so I actually will be able to start doing something now. I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball for a Nincada, I believe. It's just a matter of what I want to get rid of, and I think I want to get rid of the Lysander, the Crushing Hammer, because it's obvious my opponent only runs DCE, so Enhanced Hammer will be a lot better in this matchup. Let's go ahead and play the Nincada down, go ahead and Wally that sucker into a Shedinja, and then be able to Hopeless Scream to knock out this Vespiquen this turn. And do I want to play another Mew? Do I want that spot for another Nincada? I think I'll just save that for a Nincada. Go ahead and Hopeless Scream to be able to knock out the Vespiquen and hopefully be in a decent position. I mean, right now I'm in a solid spot because I have a Shedinja powered up. I have a Mew ready to go and start OHKOing basically everything. I mean, the Zoroark won't be OHKO'd, but that's a problem I can figure out later if I can just attach a Rainbow Energy or something to my Mew. My opponent will just Level Ball. Curious to see what he gets. Oh, well, obviously he's going to get a Vespiquen, and he only has 6 in his discard pile, so he will not be able to one-shot my Mew, which is completely fine by me. Does get a special charge, so that is kind of unfortunate right there. Going to be able to go ahead and actually end. Okay, that's good. That's good for me. That's fine because I get a fresh hand of 6. And okay, I get my Rainbow Energies. That is great because then I can start powering up the Mew on the bench. I can switch. I can do all that type of stuff that I want. Yeah, even if my opponent gets like a DCE or something, I'll still be able to not get knocked out and then knock out the Vespiquen in return. So I have 2 Fighting Fury belted Mews ready to go, and I'm just in a very good position. He does have to... Okay, so he's playing another Klefki down. Okay, playing the Floatstone onto the Zoroark. I mean, that's fine. That's just for stand-in and retreat. And we're still in a good position because I haven't seen a DCE get played down yet. And if he doesn't, then that is absolutely great for me because then I'll be able to take another prize and actually be ahead enough in the prize trade to where I don't think it will matter that much. Yeah, I think I'm in a good position right now. I think I'm in a very good position. So, ooh, he even attaches to the Zorua on the bench. That is great for me because what I can do is even go ahead and switch into my Mew on the bench. I need another Nincada down. I mean, I run 4 in the deck for a reason. I should be able to get another one down, but okay, so I am just going to play the regular energy onto the Mew because, I mean, I'm afraid of Enhanced Hammer from my opponent. Let's go ahead and Trainer's Mail, grab the Level Ball so I can grab another Nincada. I do want to be careful with this, though, because if I play down another bench Pokemon, then I will walk right into a Mind Jack knockout, and right now, the Intelligence, or the Be Revenge isn't knocking me out. What I can do is go ahead and play that down, get a prize. Another Rainbow Energy, jeez. So, yeah, I want to be careful. I really want to be careful at this point because I don't want to walk into a DC, dropping a DC into the Zoroark and then Mind Jacking my Mew for a knockout, because right now my opponent needs more Pokemon in the discard pile, and a Mind Jack would not be a one-shot on me. So my opponent will just go ahead and Clef Key onto the Unknown to get 2 more cards in the discard pile, and then go for an end. So, you know what? I actually think I should have played the Rainbow Energy down, but I don't know. There's so much special energy hate right now, and wow, I draw into a complete crap hand. Jeez, that's frustrating. Man, that's very frustrating. And my opponent's going to be able to go ahead and still not knock me out, so that's nice. But at the same time, like, that's... I'm annoyed right now, because I went from one hand with no supporter to another hand with no supporter. And that's very, very annoying for me. And, okay, my opponent... Wait, why did he play down the Forest of Giant Plants after the Combee? I feel like that's counterintuitive. And, okay, he will be able to Shaman for 4 more cards. Hopefully he still doesn't get anything. I mean, that's what I'm crossing my fingers for. And... yeah, I mean, like, that's the luck of N. Should I have played the Rainbow Energy down? Probably, but there's so much special energy hate, and this is the type of deck that my opponent could just run, like, a random Crushing Hammer or something like that. And also, if I put a Rainbow Energy on Mew, then it is just a... well, first off, it could get knocked out by Be Revenge at that point, I believe. And also, it is just a Lysander away from being knocked out by Mind Jack, so I have to be kind of... well... to turn a phrase, I had to be mindful of Mind Jack at this point, because playing the Rainbow Energy down on the Mew on the bench would have knocked it out, and with the 4 Pokemon on my bench, and then the Zoroark going for Mind Jack. So that's, I mean, that my opponent's deck, you don't see them running Zoroark Break, because usually there isn't enough room in the deck for that. So, I mean, it turns out that my opponent's Zoroark, oh my gosh, that is annoying. That is so ridiculously annoying right now. Oh, man, that's... don't get... So what I am going to have to do is I don't get a supporter at all. I want to be able to, like, Lysander in the Shaman or something like that, or at least have a draw supporter, or some way of knocking out this Zoroark, which I would have if I would have gotten that Rainbow Energy. But, I mean, again, that was because I was being wary of Mind Jack, and also the Vespiquen decks usually do not run they don't run Zoroark Break. They just run the regular Zoroark, which I would have been able to potentially knock out. I mean, even not with the... actually, I would have been able to knock it out with the Shedinja if it came down to it, but I think I'm just going to waste a card. That way I don't draw into it later. Still don't want to play down the Nincada because, again, I don't want to be knocked out by just a DCE drop and a Mind Jack, so I'm going to... it's risky, but I'm going to go for it. Go ahead and get some solid damage onto the Zoroark with the Hopeless Scream, and that's frustrating that I wasn't able to draw anything at all. Wow, that's annoying. But either way, I mean, you deal with what you get, and unfortunately sometimes N just screws you over. In fact, I don't think there's really been a time where N has helped me, and usually it just screws me over. So that's annoying to say the least, but you deal with it the way you have to, and unfortunately that's the way Pokemon TCG is all of a sudden whenever N gets printed, it suddenly becomes less about how well you're able to outplay your opponent early game, and it almost all comes down to how well your opponent is able to just get lucky and draw off the N, and if they're able to N you into a bad hand. So, I mean, it comes down to a little bit more resource management, but also, at the same time, it's like, okay, well, you have to just discard a bunch of cards that you don't need to so hopefully you can get lucky off the N. And that's where you really lose me, because as soon as you're hoping to get lucky off of something, and to where a card is that reliant on luck to where it can completely determine the outcome of a game just by that one card and how poorly you draw, then that is where I think that card is dumb and needs to be removed from the game. I mean, on a side note, my opponent just hit for 450 damage, which is ridiculous. But, geez, still nothing? Are you kidding me? That's disgusting. But what I am going to go ahead and do is just play the Nincada down. I mean, wish I would have had the Shedinja, then I could take advantage of the Forest of Giant Plants, but unfortunately I don't. I think the only way that I'm going to be able to take a... no, I don't want to do that, because I need to take a knockout on the Zoroark, but what I think I can actually do, play the second the second Grass Energy onto Mew, and then go for a Mind Jack. Wait, why can't I go for Mind Jack? What the heck? Why am I not able to go for Mind Jack? Oh my gosh, TCGO, get it together. This is ridiculous. I should be able to go for a Mind Jack. I mean, yeah, Versatile should be able to use Mind Jack. I mean, you can copy any attack of any Pokemon on the field, so... Okay, luckily, Bee Revenge will be able to KO, so it's not a complete loss, but that is still just kind of stupid how TCGO has not figured out all of the bugs yet. And okay, so my opponent loses Zoroark Break, but at this point he has enough Pokemon in the discard pile to be able to knock out my Mew, which is frustrating, but I mean, unfortunately, it's what you have to deal with, and you know what, guys? I actually think this match is going to come down to the Nincada being knocked out first turn, because not only was I not able to go first, but I wasn't able to draw into anything to get it out of the active spot. So that is frustrating how that happens and how the coin flip completely determined the outcome of the game in this instance. But I mean, if I can somehow manage to get my opponent to where he doesn't have a DCE next turn, or if I can get like a Lysander play or something like that, then I might have a chance. But I think my opponent has enough DCEs in his deck left to where he will be able to win the game. And yeah, I don't know what's taking my opponent so long. Okay, he's Super Rodding back in some stuff. I guess he was counting to make sure that he was able to Super Rod and not lose the KO. Super Rodding back in Shaymins and Unknown. So, I mean, that's a smart play by him. Yeah, and he has more than enough to be able to knock out my Mew. 140, so actually just barely enough. But that's kind of annoying, to say the least, that my opponent also had exactly the number he needed to be able to Super Rod back in as well. So, I don't know, just everything possible in this match is not going my way. I am just going to go ahead and... Do I want to play the Mew down? Nah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Mew and the Mr. Mime to grab another... To grab the Shedinja, maybe? So I can at least Hopeless Scream, but nah, I'm going to grab the Nincada, because, I mean, with the Sycamore, I should be able to draw into it. And I wanted to end, but, I mean, I need this stuff. And, okay, I'm able to get the Shedinja, so let's go ahead and play that down. Maybe have something to do next turn. Go ahead and Enhanced Hammer, get rid of that energy. Play the Magma Secret Base down to where, I mean, if my opponent doesn't have anything next turn, then I will be able to win the game. But, I mean, with the amount of stuff he has in his deck, there's almost no way that he won't be able to draw into a DCE. So, yeah, it's frustrating that the match literally was decided by the coin flip first turn, and also me not being able to draw what I needed when I needed. So, I mean, that's very frustrating, and the fact that N came through one more time to spite me is kind of salt in the wound. And, I mean, yeah, I'm a little salty right now, just because, I mean, everything kind of went against us this match. I mean, there really wasn't much that went for us. I mean, I was able to set up the way this deck normally does. I mean, there was nothing amazing about my setup at all to where you're like, well, I mean, I got lucky enough on the setup, but I don't know, everything just seemed to kind of go my opponent's way, and I was still almost able to clutch it out. So I consider that a win for this deck, even though it's not the most competitive deck. I mean, it does have, yep, there's a DCE. So we do lose. That's frustrating as all heck, and I'm slightly salty about that, but that's the way Pokemon is. It's no matter what Pokemon game you play, it is not all about skill. A lot of it is about luck, and unfortunately N came through once again for my opponent. So I mean, yeah, but at least I was able to show off how this deck works, and how it works. Well, not only how it works, but how effective it can be in the right scenario, and also if you can actually get some stuff to go for you. So, I mean, yeah, that was the deck, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed despite my saltiness in this last match. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff, and this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.